Hello everyone and welcome to On Purpose Astrology. Got some cool astrology coming up for the second half of May. We're just over the full moon. Three exciting astrological events are happening and my take on them that hopefully will be helpful for you. But before that, please do bear with me because I have some really exciting news. You can see here on screen, the On Purpose Life, your guide to finding and living your life purpose. This is my new book. It's coming out in a few days' time in May 2025. On Kindle and in paperback. So please do subscribe if this book is of interest to you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it in a second. And follow me on social media. Links will go below here so you can find out when exactly it's coming out if you're interested in it. But how was this book conceived? Well, basically 3 years ago, I had a really good job, very good job in a new company, really exciting times. But I was burnt out and I eventually fell ill and I had to leave that job voluntarily. I left that job because I just wanted to take the time to heal myself, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, as it turned out, spiritually as well. So these four elements suddenly became very important in my life, my main focus. And then I started to think, well, what do I do next? Do I go back and try again and do the same thing I've done before? As I said, I've always had a good job, been treated well, been paid well, but there was never that, am I really doing what I'm here to do? Am I really giving of myself in a way that I want to? Am I really following my purpose? So that led me on an odyssey. Really, I called it an odyssey more than a journey. It is a journey, of course, but an odyssey because it's full of ups and downs and challenges isn't it, life in general. The book is not a memoir, it's not all about me, but it does reflect the process that I went through. And then I fine-tune that process as an easy to follow process. Let me tell you a little bit about that now. So the first stage in the book, the first part of the process is A for ask. It's about asking those questions. Here are some of the questions you might have asked yourself, or you might be asking yourself. Have you ever asked yourself, who am I? What am I here for? Is there a purpose to my life? And if so, how can I know what it is? Well, this book helps you to answer those questions. That's the first part of it. And more importantly, it helps you to listen and find the answers. Listen to the answers, find the answers for yourself. The book is full of exercises and it's full of tools as well. So that's important. Exercises to help you to ask the right questions, exercises to enhance your imagination, exercises to raise your vibration, lots of different exercises and lots of tools that you can use as well, because it's really important, I think, to have tools and practices to help you as you move towards your more on purpose life. So the next one is A for allow. So once you've asked that question, once you've asked the right questions, once you feel like you're getting the answers, you might not have all the answers. Your life purpose won't come down in one big download and all of a sudden, whoa, like total enlightenment. It will come in little pieces, almost like breadcrumbs to follow. And then you have to allow those answers, allow that purpose to come through. You have to allow it to come through. You have to align yourself with the higher manifestation of your purpose. You might be living your purpose already, living a very purposeful life. You might be feeling, is there more I can do? So the next step is all about aligning with it. And what you'll learn along the way is your life purpose isn't just one thing. It's not the same your whole life. It grows and evolves as you grow and evolve yourself. So you might feel that you found your purpose when you were younger, or you have your purpose now, but there's those little inklings, oh, maybe there's more, maybe that's changing a little bit, maybe I don't feel as fulfilled. It's just not one thing either. It can be many things all at once, or not just one thing for all your whole life. Not necessarily your career or your job, but generally speaking, that's what most people go towards when they're thinking about their life purpose. They go towards what they're going to do with their life. Many hours are spent in work and in career. But it could be anything, family life, or a combination of these things, family life, community life. or even just the way you go about and live yourself, the way you go, the energy that you put out to the world, and that healing process that you go through, that this book hopefully will help you to go through that healing process. And it's time to pursue your life purpose when you start to feel unfulfilled in one or more areas of your life. Of course, sometimes it's a little nagging feeling. I mean, I had that nagging feeling for quite a long time. If I'm honest, I had it for years, but I kind of ignored it, and in the end, it became a shout, and I had to have illness and burnout to really stop and think. And I think my purpose in writing this book is so that you don't have to get ill or burn out and have to stop. The process takes you through small changes, one by one, step by step, step by step. It doesn't invite you to make drastic changes or take massive risks. So if you're feeling those little nudges of like, not quite feeling unfulfilled anymore, not as much as I was, what needs to change? This book is also for you. And it's time to find and pursue your life purpose when you feel like life is happening to you rather than for you. Now, things in life happen to us. We're not in control of them. They're like, whoa, sometimes they happen as a result of perhaps mistakes that we feel that we've made or wrong directions that we've taken. And it can feel like life's happening to you. Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Is a question why we might ask ourselves when things get very difficult. But one of the things I would like to inspire you with this book is to start to flip that, to feel that life is happening to you. All those mistakes, the wrong turns, the dead ends, all of those things that might have happened to you that you couldn't control, that weren't a result of your own actions, that you can see them as happening for you to help you to achieve wisdom, to embrace the experience on the other side of it when you started to heal, so that you can see more clearly, well, I didn't prefer that, I didn't like that, I didn't like it when that happened, I did this and then this was the result, I didn't like that. So what do I like? That can be a clue to what your purpose is. Big clue, in fact. And you're never too old to step into your purpose. I have just come out of my second Saturn return. I will be 60 later this year, around about Christmas time. So my story in itself shows you it's never too late to step into your life purpose. So if you are coming up to your second Saturn return, or you're over the hill of the Saturn return, or you're way past your second Saturn return, it's never too late. It's never too late. Don't buy into the myth that when you're older, you're past it. When you're older, you bring wisdom, you bring experience. You also bring often the deep desire to give back something to the world that's given you so much that's given you life and prosperity and family and all those beautiful things, and you want to give something back. I'll also add that you're never too young either. This is a book that might appeal mostly to middle-aged or older people, but if you're young, it's also never too early to step into your purpose. If you step into your purpose when you're young, you'll find that that'll change more as you get older, you get more experience, you get wiser, but you can find your purpose at any age at all. And I love the quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer, the late American motivational speaker, who said, "Don't die with your music in you," meaning we've all got something in us that wants to come out, that wants to be our gift to the world, and who wouldn't want that? So yes, the book's coming out. Please follow me on social media. These little vignettes I've shown you here, I've been doing them for a week now, one a day. I'm going to carry on for another at least 25, 30 days as well. Different quotes and insights from the book with a little comment under them as well. So do follow me and hope you enjoy it. And if the book's of interest, I hope you enjoy the interest. So I'm going to stop sharing now, for now anyway, and I am going to talk astrology. So the first thing that's happening is that on the 21st of May, well, not the first thing that's happening, but the next most relevant thing that's happening now we're over the full moon is that the sun moves into Gemini. Now, this On Purpose book I've just talked about, it's not an astrology book. I am writing now a book about the astrology of life purpose for astrology students, intermediate, advanced professional astrologers. So if that's of interest to you, it'll be a companion piece to the book that I'm writing if you're an astrologer or into astrology. So I thought for this video, as the sun goes into Gemini, I thought I'd share a little bit about life purpose for the sun in Gemini. This is also relevant if you have the moon or the ascendant in Gemini. So sun, moon, or ascendant in Gemini, or if you have more than one personal planet in Gemini, or even the North Node, which has a lot to do with purpose as well. So it's Gemini's purpose to be curious. And obviously, if you're not Gemini, we're in Gemini season from the 21st of May for a month. So these might be things you might want to think about or meditate on. Think about your Mercury, what your Mercury is doing in your birth chart, or your third house, the house of communication. So it's all relevant. It's relevant to everyone, really. But more specifically, sun, moon, or ascendant, or lots of other stuff in Gemini, angles, etc. Lots of Gemini in your chart. So part of your purpose might be to be curious, to ask questions, to share information. A purposeful lesson for Gemini is to come to understand that beliefs, values, and opinions are not static things. It's a mutable sign, flexible, mutable sign. To understand that as these beliefs and values and opinions evolve, and as Gemini evolves into its purpose, these things grow and change with them. So Gemini needs to be flexible and adaptable. I mean, this might be difficult if your birth chart is full of or dominated by planets and angles in the fixed signs, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius. On the flip side, if you have a lot of mutable energy in your chart, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, that Gemini energy can be too flexible, changing one's mind on a whim, lacking strong core values and solid beliefs. But the on-purpose Gemini energy, sociable, affable, cultured, that's an air sign, and educated, even if that is the education of life, the university of life, rather than formal education. There's always a learning. Every day is a school day for a Gemini. For some Geminis, travel might be an on-purpose pursuit from which to expand the mind. And even if this doesn't appeal, it's fair to say that Gemini will have a variety of interests. Too many and diverse to list here, to talk about here. But Gemini will have tried out lots of things and will know a little about a lot, or even perhaps Gemini, if it applies to itself, a lot about a lot of things. There's a curious, sociable, friendly nature, as I've already said, a love of pursuing a variety of interest, because Gemini builds up a network as well. A network through its interests, through its diverse social and professional connections. So it has the gift. Gemini brings the gift of connecting people with each other and learns that Gemini themselves need others around them as they strive to go through life purposefully. There's a danger, of course, that Gemini can become the eternal student, learning this, learning that, picking up this bit of information, or this, that, and the other skill, but don't actually apply that in the world. So sharing, communicating, even teaching and educating others, even if not necessarily in a formal way, is a large part of the Gemini purpose. This could be writing, speaking, coaching, or practical demonstration. Gemini is good with the hands. A natural skill for creating things both useful and beautiful. It's probably a good idea for Gemini to use their hands, as this is a good way of releasing some of that nervous energy that comes with Gemini. You might have noticed that people who are strong in Gemini are very expressive with their hands when they're talking. One of the things that Gemini must learn to deal with is this restlessness, which means that sticking with things and giving up on the first hurdle and moving on to something else can become a block from stepping into the higher purpose for Gemini. There's also a tendency to become easily bored. And this is another sign when boredom comes in and restlessness comes in, that Gemini might be falling off track from its purpose. That says variety is the spice of life. And that's relevant to Gemini, but there's always a fine balance to be found between casting off something out of boredom and restlessness and trying something new, trying out a new idea, testing out a new opinion as a way of learning to look at things from a different perspective. So that's a little bit about Gemini. For Gemini, what's Gemini for? Why are they here? Well, there's a few little insights for you. When I do write this astrology of life purpose book, astrology life purpose in the birth chart, then there'll be a lot more about all the signs and tons of case studies as well. So what else is happening? Well, I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you. Aha, here we go. Here we go. Now this picture will make sense. We have, as I talk through, it makes sense. By the way, I have Gemini rising in Jupiter in Gemini and North Node in Gemini. This is why I do a lot of this. So there you go. Right. So on the 25th of May, make sure I get that date right. Yep, on the 25th of May, Saturn goes into Aries. But it will, but it will meet Neptune. It heralds the beginning of the new Saturn-Neptune cycle. This is very interesting, very exciting. Saturn-Neptune won't be in exact conjunction until February next year, but they're close enough when Saturn goes into Aries this month to really start the beginning of the cycle for us to feel into those energies. And that's going to be the next topic for this 3 astrology bits of stuff to really get your teeth stuck into. Teeth is about Saturn, by the way. To get your teeth stuck into this month, second half of May. So I'm going to talk about the Saturn-Neptune cycle a little bit because we can't really extrapolate the two of them. If you've been having a Neptune transit, Neptune's at 0 degrees of 0 or 1 or something degrees of Aries at the moment, you will be having a Saturn transit too, a Saturn-Neptune transit. So let's look at that cycle. It's a 35 to 36 year cycle. So it starts in Aries, starts in early Aries. And it's associated with the life cycle of an ideal, the start of new ideals, and also the death of ideals. We're talking here in society, in the collective, to start off with. The Saturn-Neptune cycle is a symbol of the end of communism in Europe, including the fall and disintegration, that's Neptune's world, of the Berlin Wall, bricks, walls, Saturn. That was under the Saturn conjunct Neptune in Capricorn in November 1989. So other themes for this cycle are the dissolving of existing social structures. Remember that we're going into the beginning of the cycle. As I talk through these things, you will notice that we are already in it. These big cycles, we really feel them before they become exact. We can feel we can feel that kind of hiss or that kind of pull towards the themes. So you'll recognize a lot of these. The dissolving of existing social structures, including the restructure of institutions. This might be hospitals, prisons, charities, aid agencies, government systems even. And we're seeing that in some parts of the world at the moment. The changing of collective society. Now, it's associated with fascism, fanaticism, and propaganda. It's also associated with democracy, socialism, and philanthropy. So you can see how it's about conflicting ideologies and conflicting societal, but also personal values. Satellites and spying is another one. And Neptune transits can open up our creativity. So if we're having a Neptune transit, you're feeling creative, you might be feeling spiritual. So a good way to deal with it is to embrace the creative and or spiritual side of yourself. But after the initial inspiration, we realize that, true to the cliche, if we're talking creativity, successful endeavors consist of 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And this is where the hard work of Saturn joining Neptune comes in. We might find out we need to learn new skills, and we might give up at that point. Loss of ambition is one theme of the Saturn-Neptune dynamic. But however, if we can be disciplined and patient and can hold the faith, we can move through our creative blocks. Blocks again being Saturnian, and perhaps create something magical and fantastical. Saturn's like a gatekeeper. Saturn acts as a kind of a gatekeeper for all the outer planets, all the planets beyond Saturn. Saturn conjunct Neptune. When Neptune was discovered in the discovery chart for Neptune and Saturn were conjunct, which shows the importance of Saturn to Neptune, even though they seem to be very, very different energies. We might yearn for escape if we're having this Neptune transit. Of course, the Neptune transit is longer than the Saturn transit because it's slower. So if you're having that Neptune transit, you'll have Saturn come and go, although it can be a good year, that Saturn transit, if it's a three-part hit. Neptune can be more than a year, it can be 3 or 4 years. But during that Neptune transit, we can learn for us, yearning is another key thing for a Neptune transit, yearning for escape. And there's sometimes a draw towards spirituality, the idea that our soul exists beyond the physical experience and returns to divine consciousness when we pass on. We can choose our beliefs when it comes to Saturn, Neptune, and we may never know what truly happens beyond the veil. But talking about escapism, this is where we come into this image here, this image of Saturn, the gatekeeper, like a bouncer in a nightclub. Nightclubs have such a Neptunian vibe. There's escapism, there's music, there's dancing, there's maybe alcohol, sometimes even drugs. There's a good door policy, a good gatekeeper, a good Saturnian figure. This guy, this big meaty guy, this big brick, a brick bleep house at the door, not letting the bad stuff in. You can enjoy Neptune's realm more safely. Saturn can also better help us to handle the loneliness, grief, and loss and sorrow that can sometimes come under a Neptune transit. It can hold the space for us as we navigate Neptune's nebulous world. But if we try too hard to take control, to set rigid boundaries, and attempt to deny Neptune's process of dissolving some of the worn-out structures in our lives and also in society, it can lead to exhaustion. That burnout, really, that I talked about, that happened at the end of a very long Neptune transit for me. But if we're open to learning that lesson, can eventually let go and then start to rebuild better. So when we talk about dissolving structures, which come with the Saturn Neptune collectively in our lives, but collectively and out in the world, that's something to look out for, dissolving structures. We ask ourselves as a world and as a society, as a global community of beautiful beings, when things dissolve, how do we build back better? And that applies to our personal lives as well. Now, the next thing I want to share, and this is very exciting for me. So basically, this month will be having my Jupiter return because I have Jupiter at 25 degrees of Gemini. And you can see here on the 28th of May, Jupiter is conjunct the Moon, 27 degrees, which is opposite the Galactic Center, which is 27 degrees and 60 minutes of Sagittarius. So this is really interesting. Something we don't often think about, the Galactic Center, or maybe you do, maybe you are into galactic astrology. If you are into galactic astrology and you're interested in galactic astrology or learning something about it, I would recommend Galactic Astrology by Julia Ballas on YouTube. She's got a whole channel dedicated. She's fantastic. She recommends when the moon is conjunct the galactic center. So when the moon is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, that's a good time to meditate. Meditate to connect with the center of your being, because the galactic center is the center of our galaxy, to connect to both what is very deep inside you, but also what is much bigger than you. Remember, we're all part of one big conscious whole. And it's my belief that the galactic center and the planets themselves are also conscious. That's why we have so much value in working and connecting with them, connecting with all the planets, all the stars in our galaxy. We are communing, or we could say we're communing with the gods, if you don't mind going in that direction. So she says, Julia, meditate when the moon is in Sagittarius, 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Obviously, it's at 27 degrees Gemini here. I would say that it's also a good time to meditate and to think. Remember the curiosity of Gemini that we spoke about. Curiosity of Gemini. Here we see in this chart that the sun is at 7 degrees and Mercury is at 5 degrees of Gemini. So you've got the ruler of Gemini also conjunct sun in Gemini. So it's a time to get curious. So go into a meditation, ask a question, be curious, be open to learning something new. Ask the question, breathe, and ground yourself. And ask the question, what does the Galactic Center want me to know? What does the core of my inner being want me to know right now? What is the truth, and how do I discern the truth of the things that I'm being shown outwardly and the things within myself? It's about cultivating. You could always ask to cultivate discernment and finding the truth when you're not sure, because there's so much information out there, so many different opinions, different things that are presented as facts. We don't know. Might not know. We might change our mind. So it's really a chance to sort of go within, but connect to something much bigger, the center, the galactic center, the center of our galaxy. Hang out there, see what answers it has for you. Remember, its answers are your answers, because we're all connected. So I hope that's useful. I hope that's interesting. I've not talked about the Galactic Center before, actually, on this video series on my YouTube channel. I've done some, a few years ago in the past, I did some research into the Galactic Center, and I found that it is very much associated. So when someone has in their chart something at 27 degrees of Sagittarius, maybe in Gemini, and maybe the other mutable signs as well, very close conjunctions or squares or oppositions to the galactic center, it's associated with whistleblowing, with truth telling, with needing to tell the truth. So again, meditating on the 28th of May, when the moon is conjunct Jupiter and exactly opposite the galactic center, is a great time. It's a fantastic time to discern your own truth, to tell yourself your own truth. I'm going to stop sharing here. And I hope this is interesting. It's a very exciting time for me. I hope you enjoyed the video, the part of the video at the beginning about my new book. Please do comment, share, and yeah, hopefully it's a book that's calling out to you. If not, please pass the information on to someone you think might find it useful. As always, with lots of love. Take care. Bye-bye.